It's exciting to see because a lot of these people who play and are involved with eSports actually played the game. They're the people who are on the youth playing fields. They're still playing this incredible game, but in a completely different way.
Is there going to be new mixed use that blooms from this? Why either storefronts attached to the physical building or adjacent to? What is the real estate going to look like around the building?
We have a goal of obviously opening the stadium in March of 2019 for our first home game, so we're really concentrating on the stadium right now, but we do control with a developer another 20 acres around the site. So that will become part of a mixed-use development that you're maybe talking about. We really see some type of condominium, one-bedroom, two-bedroom condominiums. We see maybe 2 or 3 major companies sort of coming to that area. We see a little bit of a restaurant sort of district as part of it, and then obviously parking will be part of it for the stadium as well. So in terms of urban redevelopment, obviously we have a strategy around that, but that we'll really begin to sort of get into that immediately that the stadium is open in 2019. So that would be 2019 through about 21, 22.
And what can you tell us about the partnership with your naming rights partner, Allianz? What are the synergies between your two brands and why were they the right fit to name your building?
Allianz has an incredible history in sports. Headquartered in Munich, Germany, they have their name on the Bayern Munich stadium, but they also have their name on 6 other stadiums in addition to Bayern around the world. And so we became their 8th. Allianz Life is headquartered here in the Twin Cities. They were looking to sort of align with a partner around stadium naming rights somewhere inside of this country. The fact that we were building this iconic 20,000 seat stadium right in their own backyard was very, very compelling to them. But it also leads to not only developing a naming rights relationship, but the fact that they are involved with so many different buildings around the world and have major tenants in those buildings. So Bayern Munich, Rapid Vienna, Juventus, Nice, Sydney from an Australian rules football standpoint, Saracens rugby in London, gives us an opportunity to network into those teams and some of those other sports with the potential of sort of maybe bringing some of those games, those sports to our stadium here. So already we're networking through Allianz into some of those other teams that play in those stadiums that they have put their name on around the world.
And staying on the topic you left off with, how else will this building be used besides as the home for Minnesota United? Are we talking concerts, other events, and even smaller than that, receptions and banquets and those types of things? How else will the building be used?
Yeah, really, Jared, all of the above. I think we'll be very, very careful, particularly in the first year, relative to the grass. And, it's Minnesota after all. So the grass is actually being grown in Colorado right now.
No way.
Yeah, so, it's on a farm out there. We're actually growing 2 pitches, and, when it's ready, we will actually cut the sod there. We will roll it up, put it on trucks, bring it up here, and actually lay it out for it to sort of, become our pitch ready for March of 19. But because we're doing it that way, we'll be very careful in the first year as to other events that we actually put on the field. It will be mainly team sports in the first year. So it could be rugby, it could be football, it could be more soccer, it could be lacrosse. But we'll certainly look at concerts that maybe would be smaller concerts initially, but bigger concerts I think will come in 2020. Once the grass is sort of weathered, it is worn in, it is ready to sort of take the beating that a concert would sort of put on it. But the stadium is being designed with a lot of different sort of hospitality opportunities. We have a field club whereby we could put 450 people in there for an event. We have a stadium club that has a capacity of 1,000 people. We have an upper 90 club that basically can host smaller events, board meetings overlooking the field, which are really nice. But we also have a brew pub that is part of the design as well, that can host about 300 people. One of the things that we're looking to do with that is really make it the home for soccer in the state of Minnesota. So when there is a Premier League game, a Bundesliga game, a La Liga game, a Serie A game that we can pull in, we would have that bar, that brew pub open, you know, for those games, attracting fans from many different cultures, this diverse community in which we live, to be able to come in and see, you know, their teams play, but at the same time be inside of Allianz Field.
What was the benefit of having all of your stakeholders together at the design table from the very beginning? So your food service provider, Delaware North, your architect, Populous, Mortensen, could keep going down the list. Everyone was around that design table from the beginning, so you're not stuck at the end where the food service partner is like, we need to move the kitchen over here, and you can't do it. It doesn't always happen the way that you've been able to do it. So for those venues that may be considering renovation or construction in the future, how would you advise them to corral all of these minds and get them together from the very beginning?
Yeah, and I think that the food and beverage side of our industry is fascinating right now because it's evolving. And I think many years ago you would go to a game and food would be sort of a byproduct of going to a game. Now it's a reason to go to a game. And the food experience is really outside of the team and the game itself, and the win or the loss is really what everybody talks about, or it's a big piece of that experience. So one of the things that we did, obviously, was we engaged our fans. Soccer is the international game. We believed that we needed international foods, you know, inside of our stadium, but we really didn't know very specifically where these people were, what their roots were in this incredible diverse community that we're working in. And so we asked them. We put focus groups together, we put surveys together to really sort of begin to look at the types of foods that our fans were going to expect inside of the stadium. If you're of Vietnamese origin, you want Vietnamese food in there. If you're English, you want either puka pies or Cornish pasties. If you're Hispanic heritage, in some way, shape or form, tacos have got to be part of the food offering. And there are many different restaurants and different sort of ethnic sort of restaurants inside of the market that are known to have authentic food of some of the diverse sort of cultures that represent sort of Minneapolis-St. Paul. And so we identified all of those, and then working with DNC, who you know, will be our food and beverage sort of purveyor, working with them, we're going to make sure that obviously these foods are brought to life inside of the stadium in some way, shape or form. Lots of different teams do it in lots of different ways, but I think that the food sampling that we will have inside of our stadium will be second to none in terms of its diversity, representing this incredible international game that we're all part of.
Do you think that that would have been less likely or more challenging had they not been involved from the very beginning, they being Delaware North?
Yeah, and I think with Delaware North, I mean, they're an incredible company. They scale, they're all over the world, they're global, so they really do get it. And, you know, they have some incredible properties even here inside of the marketplace, so we're able to lean in as well on that expertise. And, you know, people like Jeremy Jacobs and Rick Abramson at the very top of Delaware North structure, you know, get how our sport is evolving, our sport, but sports in general is evolving relative to the food offerings that are necessary and the way that food needs to be served inside of stadiums. And also in sort of the premium spaces as well. The type of offerings today that are in our premium spaces are completely different to what was being served 5 years ago, 10 years ago, etc. So we've all got to evolve, we've all got to grow, and it's great to have a partner like that with us, you know, who really gets that piece of our industry.
So in closing, I want to ask you somewhat of a tangential question, and that's your take on eSports, especially EMLS, which has emerged, and your organization participating in that. Can you talk a little bit about what that league is and your place within it, but then even more generally, people in this industry are very curious and interested on the future of esports within sports and entertainment. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, and you talk about the evolution of something and how quickly this has evolved into what it has become. The fact that most major leagues these days would be looking at what is their version of an esports type of an experience for key stakeholders and fans that you have. The wonderful thing about the MLS is the demographics of our sport are very, very much leaning towards the millennials, and the millennials gather information and get their information around sports in a completely different way to my generation. They're gamers, everything is on their PDA, they're into streaming, they're multitaskers, they don't do one thing. They're involved with the game around many, many different touch points. They listen, they watch, they attend, they play. FIFA is their game of choice in our world, and it's exciting to see because a lot of these people who play and are involved with these sports actually played the game. They're the people who are on the youth playing fields of Eden Prairie, Bloomington, Apple Valley, etc. And now, as they go through college and as they go into the workforce, they're still playing this incredible game, but in a completely different way. When we launched, we looked at the market very, very carefully. We looked for players who loved our game, who had a following, we felt would represent the team from a cultural standpoint in the right way. When we announced the team and announced that we were going to be one of the 19 teams in the MLS, I think if memory serves me well, we had over 750,000 hits in one day around the announcement of these 4 people who were going to represent Minnesota United in April. I believe in Boston is where obviously the tournament will take place. But these are our fans. These are the fans of the future. As they grow up, and I have a 32-year-old son who's a player. He's also a father. He also has 2 kids who are just starting to sort of play the game. And so the cycle of new fans and the way you associate with those fans, you reach out to those fans, have touch points with those fans, may be completely different today than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Esports is where it is going, I think, for every league in this country. And what we've all got to do is figure out what our role in all of that is, how we can support its growth, but really in the end support the growth of fans for your brand.
Well, Chris, we were able to cover a lot of topics. Is there anything that you had in mind that you wanted to make sure we incorporate into the story that my questions just weren't good enough to touch on?
Today is a big day in my family's life. Today, my second grandson was born today. So
on behalf of the entire association,
hey,
congratulations.
Appreciate it, and I really appreciate you being flexible.
Awesome. Well, let's leave it there for today then. Look forward to sharing the story with our community.
Okay. Thanks, Jared. Thank you.
Thank you.